Welcome to Horror Cinema Obsession. Here, we dive deep into the chilling depths of horror cinema, from the critically acclaimed scares to the laughably ludicrous, and even the delightfully obscure. Now, let's join our hosts, Richard and Angelus, as they share their love, laughs, and sometimes sheer disbelief at the world of horror movies.
A lone train car, flickering lights, a man sitting perfectly still across from you, polished shoes, a crisp suit, a leather bag that's too large to be carrying anything normal. But don't look too close, because you already know something's off. That's right, we're covering Midnight Meat Train, baby!
Boop, 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 boop. Welcome back, people. Richard hates.
Oh my god, you suck. Horror Cinema Obsession. I'm your host, Richard.
My name is Angelus.
Yep, she's my beautiful co-host. That's right, folks, we're back. And
We're
Angelus's
alive.
sarcasm is still full on. But we are alive. So I'm sorry about the delay we had. I came down with flu-like symptoms.
Flu-like symptoms?
I was dead. I came back from the dead, guys. Dang. But my beautiful co-host and partner willed me back to life. So I appreciate you.
I nurtured you with chicken soup.
Yep. Chicken soup for the teenage soul. Anyways, I'm glad to be back. Shoot, we took, 4 weeks off? We needed a break, guys. That's what happened.
Unintentionally.
We needed a break. We did 40 plus episodes. We just need to kind of clear our heads, get back into it. Remember why we love doing this. So I feel pretty good about it. And man, what a movie to start with. I actually watched it a couple weeks ago in preparation for this episode. So then I had to watch it a couple more times. Recently, as we got into it, I even had my notes done. I had to revisit that. So if we're not as sharp as we usually are, I don't know if we're ever sharp. Apologies.
We wing it, man.
We wing it.
It works.
We wing it. Anyways, let's just jump into it. We got a lot to talk about here. Angelus, you've seen this movie once before?
Yes. You introduced me to this movie.
And I introduced myself to this movie, oddly. You know why I kept wanting to watch it? I seen it on the streaming stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But every time I want to, the people I was with, like Matheson and other folks, they just didn't want to watch it. They're like, it's okay.
Mm.
How do you feel about it? I'll share mine here in a second.
So the first time I watched this, I was very into a game on my phone, and it was just kind of, for me, it was playing on the background.
Wow.
And all I remember was you going, Midnight Meat Train, baby, Midnight Meat Train. And I was like, wow, I missed out on a great movie. Let's add it to the docket and let's watch it. And oh my God, it was a hard movie to get through on the first episode back.
Oh, you didn't like it?
It's a little slow.
Okay, I like this movie.
I know.
So, one, I think the name is phenomenal. Midnight Meat Train.
Yeah.
I'm like, that fucking bucks. It does it for me. But that being said, like Bradley Cooper's in it. I like Bradley. He's cool. And then Vinnie Jones. What not to love. I think the story at times does kind of, some of the parts are a little bit slower, like when him and his girlfriend are.
Yeah, I think those are the scenes that just kind of.
If they cut that up and chop it up a little bit, I think we have a solid movie, and I think you would really enjoy it. Because did you like it?
Yeah, it was an interesting story. It was a different take on, I don't know, the monsters. Yeah, it was just.
It's a different story for sure.
The girlfriend scenes, the scenes with the lady from the gallery, just kind of.
Brooke Shields, yeah.
I know they were trying to add story and depth and why he started stalking Mahogany, but at the same time, I was like, come on.
Some of it you didn't need. It could have been one of those series where you could have had a Mahogany origin story. You know what I mean?
Yes. So Mahogany alone as a character seems a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Because we don't know anything about.
I think if they would have, I think if they would have kept him more of a mystery instead of given what they did, it would have been profound for this movie.
Or I don't know, maybe he had a lame ass background before he became.
He didn't have it. Oh, like
in his former life before he was the chosen.
Well, I mean, that's a story that someone has to create.
Yeah, but I'm saying, and maybe he had another lame ass story. I don't know.
But I'm
Right
not even
now-
talking about that. We see him after the fact, like when he's not on the train. Like, I don't think it was necessary. Like, I think some of the parts when we see him working like at the like building story like that, okay. But we don't need to see him like going to his house and walking around. I don't know.
You did, because you can start seeing when he was getting sick.
Yeah. Well, that's another part of it too.
And I feel like I don't know. The story was there, and sometimes it just kind of dropped. Like, I would have enjoyed to see more of that detective. I didn't write down her name, but there was another twist. She knew more than what she was letting on.
In the movie, spoiler alert, they have a secret society, gatekeepers, if you will. And there are creatures that live underneath New York City, and the secret society helps, I guess, maintain it.
Yeah.
So she's part of it, the copy reference in, but there's a few others. It's more intricate. They don't really go into depth, which I appreciate, but it's super intricate as like there's something bigger about it. But anyways, I really enjoyed it. To start, let's see here. The release date, Midnight Meat Train premiered August 1st, 2008 in a limited theatrical release. Its budget, the film had an estimated production budget of $15 million. That's pretty good. But the domestic gross, did you record?
Wasn't it like $83,000?
Yeah, $83,361.
And worldwide.
And internationally, its gross was
$3.5 million.
So this movie like took a shit. But it's a wash. Holy crap, man. You spend $15 million and you only get $3.45 million back. Remember, in the movies that we've covered before, you have to make at least double or triple what you invested into it, right? To make your money back.
Successful, yeah.
Yeah, to call it successful, to make any money, because you have marketing that they don't account for and all that. But despite its modest budget, the film's limited release was only shown in 102 theaters. That contributed to its underwhelming box office performance. Now, I did a little research. I don't know if you did, Angelus, but I was like, why the hell was it only limited to 102 theaters? Do you have anything on that?
I saw it had a lot to do with Lionsgate.
As a company, yes.
They canceled the planned release and threw in other movies instead of this movie. They threw in, instead, budget movie houses instead.
Yeah, so they call them dollar theaters. So like if you live in Spokane, we have the Garland Theater. That's our dollar theater. Usually a movie that comes out in the big theaters like AMC. After a while, they'll sell it to the Garland and you can watch it at a discount. So they had theater dumping controversy. So also studio exec shift. So this was a change in executives. So when Midnight Meat Train was in post-production, Lionsgate underwent a leadership change. The new studio head, Joe Drake at the time, reportedly did not support the film and chose to push other horror projects instead. And these were The Strangers. That's a pretty good one. Saw, my Roman numerals suck. What's the V?
5.
Saw 5 was out in 2008. Wow. And then as a result, Midnight Meat Train was quietly dumped into second run theaters, bypassing a proper marketing push. Hence that theater dumping. And then the lack of marketing and promotion, because Lionsgate didn't support it, the marketing was almost non-existent. No major ad campaigns, trailers, or promotional efforts. With little buzz and minimal screens, the film had no chance at a commercial success. Which, this movie, I think had it had the proper marketing, oh my God, I think it's better than Saw 5. I don't even know what Saw 5, I can't even pull that out of my brain right now.
I saw it at the movie theater.
Oh my God, was that one of your classic dates
No.
with an Italian other than me?
No, it was with my friend Sarah.
Oh, okay.
She dragged me to go watch it, and I just remember it was like the second Saw movie I've ever seen, and I was
Did you like it?
It was very, at that time,
Junk food.
I hadn't watched that much like gory, like in your face, grotesque. I just remember them cutting up a body.
Oh.
But I think I was more shocked at the fact that there was a lady at the movie theater and she had like a 5-year-old with her, 6-year-old. And I was like, why do they have the kid here?
Real quick, can you look at 2008 horror movies? I'm curious to see what this is like lined up. I will say Midnight Meat Train in 2008, I was 18 years old. I did not hear about this at all. So their non-marketing
2008 horror movies?
Yeah, their non-marketing project worked.
Oh, you have Cloverfield.
Cloverfield.
That's a huge one.
I seen that in theaters.
Martyrs. I don't know that was huge at the time. I feel like it's one of those movies I got a following after.
Yeah.
Autopsy. Ruins. I remember Ruins.
Autopsy of Jane Doe?
Nope, just Autopsy. The Eye with Jessica Alba. I remember that being promoted. The Happening.
Oh my God. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong and fucking Mark Wahlberg. Where are the bees?
Oh, The Mummy, Tomb of the Emperor Dragon. Boogeyman 3.
What's the one with the tiara right there and the girl screaming?
Tiara. Oh, Prom Night.
Prom Night. That was a remake. I remember that one.
And then...
What are some heavy ones?
The Objective, Saw 5.
Ooh, X-Files, 2008, baby.
Hellboy 2.
Oh, the Golden Circle or whatever.
Yeah, The Echo, Vacancy 2.
Okay, so why the hell wasn't this movie promoted and why wasn't it successful? Like, what you just named, I think this movie is ahead of a bunch of those, if not all of them.
Not all of them? You think it's above Cloverfield?
Yeah, Cloverfield's all right.
The Ruins?
Definitely, it's better than it's the first movie.
Like,
the Ruins, okay. The Ruins isn't bad.
Lake Mungo, I haven't watched that. And then we have Eden Lake.
Yeah. No, I think Midnight Meat Train, honestly, is a highlight of this year. Jesus Christ. I can tell why I wasn't... Yeah, and The Strangers. 2008, was that the first one?
Mm-hmm.
So that one's probably number one for me, right?
Yeah.
And then I think Midnight Meat Train for me is number 2.
We have Splinter, Quarantine.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, listeners, I'm kind of curious to see what you think about 2008, so let us know.
Have you watched the Midnight Meat Train?
Yeah, and then where does it rank in your opinions?
Oh, Let the Right One In. I've heard of this one. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, we got to cover that one. Now, did it gain popularity later? Do you have anything on that? Obviously it did.
Obviously it did, as a lot of these movies. It found its peoples on online streaming. I did see also, they also skipped the DVD release and they started streaming first on FearNet.
Okay.
So, yeah, no DVD, just FearNet, just throw it out there.
Wow.
No love.
Yeah. If Lionsgate had handled this better, Midnight Meat Train could have been a solid horror hit instead of a gem. And then Clive Barker played a significant role in the making of Midnight Meat Train. I didn't realize this was a short story from Clive. Now, if you don't know, Clive Barker is the director and creator of Hellraiser and other movies like Nightbreed. He's pretty big in that. And once I found out this movie was a derivative of Clive Barker, the mind of him, it is all over this movie. I could see Clive Barker doing this movie. Like, he didn't direct this, but you can tell his fingerprints are all over it. Now, he wasn't directly involved in the filmmaking process, but his influence came mainly as the original author, executive producer, and outspoken supporter of the project. So Clive Barker, like I was saying, he's the source material. The film's based on a short story of the same name from Books of Blood, Volume 1. The story, written in the 1980s, was part of a collection that helped launch Barker's career and caught the attention of horror icon Stephen King. Now, creative influence and executive producer role, Barker was involved in pre-production and supported the choice of, God, I can't, can you say the director's name? Do you want to try it?
Ryui Kitamura?
Kitamura. So Ryu Kitamori. While he did not write the screenplay, he approved of Jeff Bueller's script and ensured it remained faithful to the original vision. He consulted on the film visual style and encouraged Kitamura to keep it violent and grotesque to match the brutality of the short story. And then Clive also, he's been on record defending the film against Lionsgate's treatment. When Lionsgate dumped the movie into the second-run theaters, Barker publicly called them out. He was outspoken in interviews and online, calling Joe Drake, the president of Lionsgate at the time, a little man with little taste and a little mind, for shelving this film. So Barker believed the studio's decision was personal and political rather than based on the quality of the movie, which I would have to agree. How about you? Their motives were awfully suspicious. They invested $15 million in this movie.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they just kind of tossed it to the side.
Yeah.
Maybe they got offended. The Kitamura and then Barker were like, oh, this movie is about New York. New York eats its people. Like,
I don't know. I don't think that has nothing to do with Lionsgate.
I know.
But so it goes to show Barker liked this film. He liked the final product. He praised the film, particularly for its visual style and faithfulness to his story. He loved Vinnie Jones as Mahogany and believed Kitamura delivered a worthy adaptation despite the studio's interference and lack of participation. So in short, while Barker wasn't on the set directing or writing, he was instrumental in shaping the film, defending it, and ensuring it retained its signature dark and violent horror style. And again, once you know it's Clive, at least for me, it totally clicked. You have the grotesque violence, the secret underworld hidden beneath everyday life, and the almost mythological horror at play. Clive's stories often explore themes of flesh, transformation, and hidden realms, and Midnight Meat Train fits right into that. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, why invest so much money into a movie and then just not put the same effort into putting it out to at least get your investment back.
Or try. So it's kind of like when you get a new boss in, or a good sports analogy. So you get a new manager in, you kind of want new people that, you know what I mean?
So essentially they just wrote it as a loss before it even came out.
Yeah, because it wasn't theirs. They wanted to bring their own guys in. You know what I mean?
They don't want their name directly. It's stupid.
Yeah, I know. But why bury it? It was so good. But again, it didn't have cachet because Vinnie Jones isn't a top guy. Bradley Cooper was relatively unknown at this time. It was right before The Hangover. So he had Wedding Crashers under his belt at that time.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. It was no-namers. So, but at the same time, they missed opportunity. Hopefully those people all burn in hell.
It's funny because, I mean, obviously by now, with how bad it did, I read that Bradley wasn't necessarily embarrassed of it. He just thinks it's kind of a joke because it just bombed so hard initially.
Yeah, and it wasn't his fault, though.
No, but I didn't write down. Apparently there was another movie, and after he became like a well-known name, where they were joking about it, and they're like, well, for this scene, like, what do you want? And he was like, yeah, just put up a poster of Midnight Meat Train, and they actually did it. So there's another. I didn't write down the name of the movie. There's another movie that he's in after he became big.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the background, there's a poster of Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a joke. Yeah.
I love that. That's cool. So I did have, it is pretty faithful. I don't know if we want to go through it, but there are key differences between Clive Barker's short story and Midnight Meat Train 2008.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to hear any of it that much, but kind of the main stuff we can cover, right?
What were the big main differences? I know you mentioned the Leon's career.
To you off.
Oh.
So the protagonist, Leon, instead of a photographer, he was a mild-mannered office worker. He's a loner who takes the subway late at night out of convenience, not out of artistic obsession. And his arc is more about blindly stumbling into horror rather than actively investigating it. Now, in the film, obviously, Leon is reimagined as the photographer obsessed with capturing true darkness in the city of New York. His curiosity leads him down the rabbit hole. He actively hunts for the truth rather than stumbling upon it. And his descent into madness is more gradual, making his transformation feel tragic rather than purely ironic. Now, I don't know how about you feel about that, but I don't mind the original take on that. I don't know why they had to change it.
I mean, I can see the change of why he needed to learn more of this story from Mahogany, you know?
Well, how they angled it.
Yeah, otherwise if he was just a regular rider on the subway, he probably wouldn't have followed him to his personal life outside of the train. I don't know.
Yeah. So with Mahogany, the butcher, the short story, Mahogany is more of a mindless worker, killing without question. His background is mysterious. We don't learn much about him or why he does what he does. But in the film, Vinnie Jones, he's given more depth. We see him in his apartment, maintaining his body like a ritualistic executioner. The film makes him physically monstrous, covered in tumors, hinting his long life of servitude. And there's more tension between him and Leon with multiple confrontations before their final fight. And then the secret underground society, we were kind of talking about this, right? So the secret underground society in the ending, in the short story, the big reveal is that subway murders are a long-standing tradition, feeding creatures that live beneath New York. Mahogany kills Leon, but before he does, the creature arrives and consumes Mahogany instead. The creatures don't speak. They just exist horrifyingly and unknowable. A new butcher is chosen from the next passenger, but it's not Leon. We never learn who takes Mahogany's place. Now, I don't know about you, and I'll let the listeners kind of decide, but I like that story better.
I like that ending.
Yeah.
Where it's the monsters who come and take him. I mean, they're the ones
it's
that
ominous. I love it.
crown him, and they're the ones that take it, and you don't know who's going to be the next one. You don't know who to watch out for on the train.
Yeah, and it's ominous. I love that.
Boom, boom, boom. Did you learn what those fucking monsters were? I was so confused by them.
Yeah, they're underground creatures.
I saw a thing talked about, so this is in comparison.
They seem like gargoyles.
They seem like gargoyles. So based on the short story, I found a description here where they were talking that they're these monsters that live under the city. They're a mayor, the father of fathers who founded New York, was the main purpose of the monsters. And they're supposed to be somewhere along the lines of like zombie-like creatures, which is why they come and eat other people. But I don't know. I was just a little slightly confused as to where they came from. Like, why do they stay underground in this city and not come up? You know, and like you said, there's this secret society that keeps them down. But based on the description, like there was another analysis in comparison to the story. They were talking about, there's a quote here from Barker saying that he thinks New York does indeed eat up its citizens, but it's presented as a bleaky, glorious thing. And then they make a reference in regards to the movie, in this instance, where Leon is the one who ends up being the new butcher. And
lower your mic a little bit. You're kind of fading in and out.
He's supposed to be proud of his new role and serving his new responsibility.
Yeah, that's kind of the movie we have, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's where they were doing, he was speaking directly about the movie.
Okay. Who was?
Barker.
Oh, okay. Barker.
Yes. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I can see this. So the monsters are just monsters and they eat up and consume people, and I guess that applies to a lot of different aspects of real world, you know. Some people are so dedicated to certain things, groups, work, organizations, they just kind of eat you up.
I
Mm.
think you're thinking a little too hard into that.
That's what this was the comparison in relation to the short story.
Okay.
So it's a thing that consumes people,
Okay, I get that.
the monsters.
Okay, that does make sense, actually. I like that.
Yeah.
It's like super in depth, though.
It is super in depth.
I guess I was taking it more of a shallower, really outside.
Yeah, this was
you know what I mean?
Yeah, this was I found from someone breaking down the short story.
Yeah, this man has all Clive Barker's signature themes, like Hellraiser, Nightbreed, hidden horrors beneath everyday life, body horror, and transformation. I mean, that's Hellraiser in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Violence as a ritual, and then Midnight Meat Train. The killings aren't for pleasure, but for maintaining cosmic balance, just like how the Cenobites don't kill for fun, but they collect souls.
Oh. So it's an offering.
Yeah. But so connecting Midnight Meat Train to Barker's other stories, I just want to name the movies off. We have Hellraiser, we have Hellraiser 2, we have Candyman, and Nightbreed. Now, have you seen all the other? I know you've seen Hellraiser, but have you seen any of the rest of them?
Nightbreed. I watched the new Candyman, not the old Candyman. Does that make a difference?
I've never seen
or
the new
is
one.
it the same story? I think it's the same story, isn't it?
I don't know. I've never seen the new one.
Oh, I haven't seen Nightbreed.
Nightbreed's pretty good. Go to Candyman, the original one. Can you tell me who the protagonist is?
Are you testing me right now?
The female protagonist?
Helen?
Helen what?
Helen Lyle?
Oh.
Virginia Madsen?
Oh, okay.
Is that who you're talking about?
Virginia Madsen. Okay. I gotcha. She's also in the movie 23 with Jim Carrey.
Get the fuck out of here.
Anyways, sorry. I was just thinking. Now, let's see. I have a couple final thoughts on this, or I guess we could discuss or have questions. How does Midnight Meat Train compare to Barker's adaptations? How do you feel? Well, I guess you've never seen any of them. How does it stack up against Hellraiser?
Against Hellraiser?
Yeah, which one would you prefer to watch?
Hellraiser.
You like Hellraiser?
Yeah. Again, I don't know. I guess they both have a lot of story, and there are scenes that were a little bit slow. But we talked about Hellraiser and how it back in the days used to be just such a fucking scary movie.
Well, it terrified us without knowing it. I'd never seen the movie and it terrified me. Now that I watched it, it's actually I enjoyed it. It's hilarious. It wasn't scary.
No, it's not.
But it could have been back in the day, I guess.
But I can see, in comparison to the monsters and how gory and how much you get to see of when the victims are being taken.
Yeah. Now, sorry, go ahead and finish the thought.
Oh, no, yeah, no, just the goriness of it all.
Now, would it have been more successful if Barker directed it himself, do you think? I think he has enough cachet that Lionsgate would have been felt
forced
they needed to invest.
Give it more marketing.
Yes.
At least.
Yeah, I guarantee it, dude. There's no way, because Barker's huge in horror. He's a horror icon. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, because by then he had so many movies under his belt.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think they would have given him more. The other thing, I guess, in comparison to Hellraiser is just, I guess, the monsters and how deep they can be.
Yeah. And then, well, I don't know how deep the monsters can be. We don't know. They're a mystery in this one.
Until we get a sequel.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Now, does this deserve a sequel or a deeper dive into its world?
I would like to know more about the monsters.
Now, a standalone, I like this as a standalone, but honestly, it could. That's where I kind of like it being random people. Like, it chooses randomly who the next Mahogany is going to be, the next Butcher. I like that aspect of it because it literally can take the story anywhere. Like, it stays in New York in the subway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can tie it in different ways if you have a different character. Instead of now you're tied to Bradley Cooper, or you got to create a story of Bradley Cooper died years down the road, Leon, you know what I mean? And this person took over. But
I would like to know more
I
about
don't know.
the underworld and the secret society, the guards, and
so that's a good
keeps the monsters a secret.
That's a good aspect or angle to the story where it is intriguing.
Because Mahogany was an interesting character, but he was interesting as the butcher. Who knows? You know, he could have
But
like I said.
You can still have all that in a story with the secret society. You can still be tied. You can tie everything back to Mahogany, the butcher on the train, but still go back and go to the secret society angle of things.
Or I guess see a little bit of how he was chosen, because
you want a Mahogany origin story?
No,
but the Mahogany changes throughout the years. I don't know how long his lifespan is. Makes me kind of think it's kind of long because he's growing and deteriorating.
Well, I think the society would be more interesting because that's when Leon pulled those newspaper articles saying that some of the killings were dated back 100 years.
You could do the butcher like 19, like fucking 20 or something.
Yeah.
That'd
because, be cool. If you pick a butcher, that butcher is it has a lifespan.
Yeah.
Where the society doesn't seem like. Or at least it's longer than the butchers that we're introduced to.
Oh, yeah. And these monsters, and we'll get into it, but they've been here on Earth longer than humans.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it says.
Oh.
Or anything living beings. Now, I also, to finish this up, sorry, I'm a chatty Cathy. I got stoked when I figured out it was a Clive Barker adaptation. Ooh-wee.
You were all like disappointed at first by being the first movie.
Yeah, at first I'll admit, because we recently watched it like within the year. I'm like, we gotta go back to this. I was all about hashtag new beginnings. You know what I mean?
You were about to scratch it off the list and pick a different one. Pivot.
We're not. So I do have rankings that I put together a list. So if I had to place Mahogany among the greatest horror villains, I'm curious to hear what yours will be, but I put him just below horror icons, but ahead of a lot of forgotten slashers. So I have 3 tiers. So tier 1 are our horror icons, the true legends. We have Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Pinhead, Leatherface, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I put him more in the lines of tier 2.
Okay.
So I put him brutal, underrated, and a cult horror villains. And the others that I put with Mahogany is The Collector from the movie The Collector, and then Victor Crowley from the Hatchet series, Gabriel from Malignant. I don't think you've ever saw that, have you?
No.
Malignant. And then Mick Taylor from Wolf Creek and Slipknot. And I put, this one was controversial. I had a hard time. I feel like he could be tier 1, but he's kind of teetering between tier 1 and tier 2. That's The Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Okay.
Now, tier 3 are great, but they're less iconic. You have the Fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer. You have Chrome Skull from Laid to Rest. And then I put Patrick Bateman in this for American Psycho.
Tier 3?
I did. Tier 3. Though this is more psychological horror, but Mahogany, to go back to him, my final verdict is Mahogany is one of the best modern horror villains, but he's criminally underrated. He has the brutal physicality of Jason, the ritualistic purposes of Pinhead, and the butcher shop brutality of Leatherface. If Midnight Meat Train had been marketed better, Mahogany could have been a horror icon. Instead, he's a hidden gem in horror history. Now, I want to hear from you. Like, I know I'm kind of randomly throwing this at you, but you don't have to do 3 tiers, but what would your, you got tier 1 and tier 2. What would you do?
I would put him in tier 2. I think tier 1, you gotta earn that shit,
Who do you have in tier 1?
Well, the classics.
Like?
Freddy, Chucky, Pinhead.
Okay.
Jason.
Okay.
Michael, Miguel.
Now, do you know the difference between Michael and Jason?
Yes.
What is it?
A hockey mask?
Oh, and who has the hockey mask?
Jason.
Ooh, and who has the Shatner mask?
Miguel.
Michael?
With his fake ass wig.
Okay, good. I had to test you. Listeners, that's a shout out for a callback for an earlier episode where Angelus didn't know who Jason or Michael were.
They both have a mask.
And then she
They
said
both have
Jason
white
Voorhees.
masks.
Then she said Jason Voorhees has a croc face.
He has a croc mask.
Not a hockey mask, a
I
croc
was
shaped
proper
mask.
today, but he does have a croc. One of these days, maybe for your birthday, I'm gonna get you Jason Crocs.
Hey, I'm down.
You're gonna rock him.
Heck yeah. So, do we want to take a break real quick, or you know what? We can cover the cast.
Go to the cost, man. Go to the cost.
Cover the cast?
Cover the cast.
Okay. Well, let's start it off. Let's start with the man, the myth, the legend, Bradley Cooper.
Oh, I thought we were gonna go for a
Rocket Raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon. Well, everybody knows him. A wet, hot American summer.
So that was his breakthrough role, but I think it, for me, I don't know if that made him well known. I remember him first from Wedding Crashers.
I remember him from The Hangover.
Well, yes, but his breakout would be The Hangover, but I remember him before that from Wedding Crashers.
And then he was in a fucking awesome movie. Well, at the time it was. I don't know. I haven't rewatched it. Limitless.
Oh, yeah, Limitless.
American Hustle. And then Guardians of the Galaxy.
American Sniper.
A Star is Born.
Silver Lining Playbook.
Yeah. With J-Lo. And then more recently, F. It looks like it's a kids movie with Ryan.
He is directing, though.
Oh, he's directing?
Dude,
What the fudge? Directorial debut?
Yeah, his ventures are A Star is Born, obviously, in 2018. And then he did Maestro. So directed and starred Leonard Bernstein in the biographical drama, further establishing his prowess behind the camera. I'd never seen Maestro, but A Star is Born I've seen. Did you like that one? That remake?
A Star is Born? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And then other ones that he had, Limitless, like you said, The Place Beyond the Pines, Burnt, and then Nightmare Alley in 2021. I think he's kind of behind the scenes, really. I don't see a lot of him.
I also remember him in All About Steve with Sandra Bullock. I watched that movie and repeated a lot. And then there was another movie. Maybe he's not that into you.
Failure to Launch. He played the best friend of Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Now our next guy. So our next guy is Vinnie Jones. Vincent Peter.
Isn't mahogany a color?
It's a tree.
Wood. Oh,
a wood. Yeah. I like my guitars mahogany. That's a tone wood.
Oh.
Love it. But anyways, our next guy, Vincent Peter Jones, Vinnie Jones, born January 5th, 1965 in Watford, England. He's a British actor and a former professional soccer player, a footballer, renowned for his tough guy image, both on the field and on the screen. So his football career, Jones began his professional football journey with the Wealdstone in 1984. Holy shit. He gained prominence playing as a defensive midfielder for Wimbledon, where he was a key member of the infamous Crazy Gang. During his tenure, Wimbledon secured a memorable victory in 85 FA Cup, final against Liverpool. Throughout his football career, Jones also had stints with Leeds United, Sheffield United, Chelsea, and Queen's Park Rangers.
Which one is your favorite team, Richard?
I don't cover that soccer. Notably, he captained the Welsh national team, qualifying through Welsh heritage. Jones was celebrated for his aggressive and physically imposing style of play, which he later influenced into his acting career. but he did transition into acting, making striking debut as Big Chris in Guy Ritchie's Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which I kind of remember, and that was in 1998. His performance earned him Empire Award for Best Newcomer. He continued to collaborate with Guy Ritchie, portraying Bullet Tooth Tony in Snatch. That's where I really remember him. And then a role that garnered him the Empire Award for Best British Actor.
I can tell who your favorite actor was.
What do you mean?
He pulled out his biography.
I did. But he also was in Gone in 60 Seconds, Mean Machine, X-Men, The Last Stand. If you guys remember, he played Juggernaut. And then, obviously, Midnight Meat Train. So, that's him. And then he had a bunch of TV appearances. Do you have anything on him?
Everything you said, man.
Okay. Who's the next person we got?
We have Leslie Bibb as Maya.
Oh, okay. She's the blonde-haired lady you hated.
I didn't hate her. She just, got her friend killed. And she got herself.
Jurgis. I hate that name,
Jurgis.
too.
I know. I was like, who the fuck would... I mean, no offense if anyone listening is named Jurgis. Isn't that the name of the thing in Iron Man? The guy, the robot, Jurgis?
No, that's Jarvis.
Jarvis is close.
God, I'm a nerd. Fuck.
Maya. She was in TV and movies, popular. It was in a TV show. She was in Trick or Treat.
I remember Trick or Treat. Remember we watched that? She's in the first part of that.
I didn't watch Trick or Treat.
Oh, maybe it was me and Vienna.
It was you and your other girlfriend.
Whoa. It was me and your daughter, you weirdo.
Iron Man. She was in Iron Man 1 and 2. And she was in The Babysitter and The Babysitter Killer Queen. And more recently in Juror number 2, which we had to watch.
Ooh. Juror number 2, that's a Clint Eastwood movie.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Then we have Brooke Shields as Susan Hoff. I was kind of surprised to see Brooke in this. So her notable works, Pretty Baby in 78. She's very young. The Blue Lagoon, 1980.
Who was she in The Blue Lagoon?
The Blue Lagoon? I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched that. And then Suddenly Susan, 96 to 2000 as Susan Keene. And other notable works was she was the spokesperson for Lazy Boy.
Sorry, she was a girl, the main lady that gets abandoned. Well, she was a little girl. Yeah.
Yeah, Brooke Shields. Now we have Roger Bart as Jurgis. This dude's face looks familiar.
The only thing that stands out to me that he was in was a TV show called Revenge. He was very annoying in there.
Revenge? I feel like
he was in every single episode, I feel like.
I see he's done TV. He was in Desperate Housewives from 05 to 12, but I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of that. And then I think this is where I know him from, is a series of unfortunate events, 18 and 19. He plays Vice Principal Nero. So I feel like maybe I've seen him there. I don't know.
I feel like they would have been a very short role because most of those movies revolve around the kids and
maybe.
What's his face? You were just let Jim Carrey.
A series of unfortunate events. Yeah. Not the movie. This is the TV series.
Oh, never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah. Now,
he was in Hostel Part 2, American Gangster.
Wait, that's where I know him from then, those small parts. Hostel, not Hostel Part 2, but maybe I know him from the other one you just said.
American Gangster?
Yeah, American Gangster.
He was in Good Trouble, another TV show, and then more recently, it looks like Captain Daddy in 2021.
Yes, Queen.
Ooh. The last person I have is...
You're going to start calling me Captain Daddy.
Fuck out of here. Tony Curran, who was the train conductor.
Oh, that's who you have?
The last person that I have.
Dude,
down.
Whoa. As a horror cinema aficionado, what the hell are you not mentioning Ted Raimi? That is appalling.
Raimi? Was he a main character?
He gets his eyeball just was popping
he a main
out.
Character?
I feel like he was. I was like, holy shit, that's Ted Raimi.
I feel like the train conductor was a more important role in this movie, Richard.
I like Ted Raimi.
So we're going to talk about Ted Raimi.
He's Sam Raimi's brother. He does a lot of cameos in movies.
Wow.
Do we want to go through? I've got his filmography from the 80s, from the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s.
You get to pick 5 top roles.
Then I have his television.
No, you get to pick 5 movies. He's not a main character. This is when we get a movie where he's the main character. I'll leave the room for 30 minutes so you can talk about his filmography.
Okay. He's in the movie Shocker. That's Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. That's what you go with. That's one of his top movies.
He is also in. Let's see. We've got a bunch here. I'm trying to.
That's one.
Patriot Games. He's CIA technician.
Yeah, that's 2.
He's in Skinner as Dennis Skinner.
It's 3.
3. He's in Maniac Cop 3, Badge of Silence. He's
4.
a reporter. And then he's in Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3.
That's 7.
And Drag Me to Hell.
8.
No, actually, he's not. Oh, yeah, he is. He's the doctor. But yeah. So,
why is he amazing? Because he does cameos and his brother's famous?
Sam Raimi's a fucking horror legend.
Okay, his brother's famous.
And Ted Raimi's awesome. The Raimi brothers are fucking cool.
But he does cameos?
I mean, I wouldn't say cameos. He's kind of like...
minor roles?
Yeah. I love it.
Oh.
That's the kind of actor I want to be. I just want to come in and do...
Guys, if anyone is hiring, Richard will take on side roles.
Yeah.
He'll twerk.
No. We have Peter Jacobson as Otto. Who's Otto?
I don't know.
Is that the bus driver?
No, the conductor is Tony Curran.
Oh, that's who I have as the driver. We have Barbara Eve Harris as the detective. We have Quentin Rampage Jackson as Guardian Angel. He plays the dude. He's a UFC fighter, but he plays the guy who's in the bus and he has a knife and he almost kills Mahogany.
The one that fights back?
Yeah, he gets shot in the head. Yeah. So that rounds out the cast. I mean, do you have anything else? Do you like the cast?
Yeah, I like the cast.
I thought they were pretty intriguing.
Yeah, except for Jurgis.
I just don't like the name Jurgis, and I don't like that character. You're right. That character was annoying, dude.
I'm like, I don't know.
Every part of it was like he was unnecessary to even the story.
He kind of I guess he was the friend who introduced him to Susan.
But did you get the vibe that he was the friend? Like, I don't feel like it didn't build a rapport. I didn't see the rapport between him with the girlfriend, with Bradley. I didn't see any rapport with the characters. The dude's character sucked.
Because the girlfriend alone could have introduced him to Susan and call it good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like him as a character. It was kind of pointless. I'm like, why are you wasting my time with this guy?
She needed something to do and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was whatever.
Okay. Do we want to take a quick commercial break?
Sure. All
right. We've got an ad for Midnight Meat Delivery. So listen up and we'll be right back. Hey folks, tired of that bland store-bought meat? Sick of overpriced steaks that lack personality? Then it's time to upgrade your dining experience with Midnight Meat Delivery, the only service that guarantees fresh, high-quality cuts straight from the source.
Okay, Richard, I'm in. But where exactly is the source?
Oh, Angelus, let's just say our suppliers work around the clock to handpick the best selections. Late-night deliveries, no questions asked, and always hand-trimmed with care.
You mean butcher with care?
Anyway, our menu features exotic flavors you just can't get at your local grocery store. Our best-selling cuts include mystery marrow medallions, chef's choice shoulder, don't ask, just enjoy, and our signature midnight filet, aged with the perfect darkness where no one can hear you scream or marinate.
Oh, that sounds suspiciously fresh.
Oh, it is, Angelus. Our delivery team guarantees same-night service, often arriving just minutes after you place your order. Some say they're too fast, almost like they knew you'd be hungry.
Or like they knew where you lived before you placed the order?
Now you're getting it. Midnight Meat Delivery. It's more than just food. It's an experience.
An experience in culinary terror. Order now and get a complimentary train ticket.
One way to hell. Midnight Meat Delivery. Fresh. Fast. Final. All right, we're back. Hopefully you enjoyed that commercial. Midnight Meat Deliveries. So a little birdie told me before when we started the break that I totally blew through the director and the writer. So usually we cover that with the cast. Angelus, what do you have real quick on the director and the writer?
So I don't have a lot because they're very private people, apparently.
Okay, how do you say the director's name?
Kitamura?
Ryu?
Kitamura.
Okay.
Born in Osaka, Japan. He doesn't have a lot other than he lived in Sydney, Australia at one point, and then he moved back to Japan, had a short called Down to Hell, for which he received a lot of positive responses, and it motivated him to get into film school.
Wait, what? A short call down to hell?
Mm-hmm.
That's a what? A movie?
Yeah.
You're saying this really fast. I don't think I understood.
He wrote a short called Down to Hell.
Okay.
He received positive reviews, and that motivated him to get into film school.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I'm on the same page.
He independently financed and directed his debut full film called Versus. It came out in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by Alive in 2002, Sky High, and then Godzilla Final Wars. And again, he's most well known for Midnight Meat Train, Azumi, and Versus. That's all that I could find on this senor.
Okay.
For the writers, we have two. Obviously, Clive Barker, as you mentioned. If you guys want more deets on him, you can listen to our episode 32 on Hellraiser.
Okay.
We go into the deep and the gritty.
The nitty gritty.
And the other writer that I have credits for is Jeff Bueller. Again, very private. He's a writer, producer, director, and actor known for Pet Cemetery, the 2009 one.
Oh. Wait, 2009 Pet Cemetery? That wasn't 2009. That was like 2019.
Okay, let's look it up. Also known for Night Flyers in 2018 and The Prodigy in 2019.
You know why I know it's 2019 Pet Cemetery? Because I've seen it in the theaters. Humble brag.
Maybe I wrote 19 or 9.
It's okay. I just wanted to make sure our listeners weren't looking forward to a Pet Cemetery in 2009.
Go look for it. Let me know where it is.
It don't exist.
Listen, Richard, sometimes
we don't deliver fake news here, okay?
What?
We're a trusted source on all things
horror. You just gotta say it with confidence and it'll be believable, okay? You learn nothing.
I know.
Yeah, Jeff, he did the screenplay for the 2019.
Have you ever seen that one?
I got fact-checked right now on live. This is live entertainment, you guys.
Have you seen that one?
I'm correcting my notes. No.
Oh.
I watched the beginning and then I didn't.
It's the original.
I like the one
best.
we saw, the more recent. What was that?
What?
The more recent one that came out?
Oh, on Paramount, this series. Yeah. I know. Shout out David Duchovny. Fox Mulder, baby. He's in it. He plays the
Bloodlines.
Faja. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was in.
Plays the Faja.
Who? Henry Thomas?
David Duchovny?
Fox
fucking Mulder?
Bill Bitterman. Oh, that's what you know. In case anyone is wondering, while Richard was sick, he binge-watched X-Files.
I fucking love X-Files, man.
That's why you're just coming from the room.
I want to believe.
Do you?
Hey, I love X-Files, man.
Anyway.
Mulder and Scully, shout out. Anyways, that's not to brush over them, but apologies, I didn't get any notes down for some reason on them.
Because you were writing about Ted
Remy, yeah. Now, let's go to our plot. This is a fan favorite section. Now, let's hear what you have.
Plot. Oh, shit, where'd it go? Right here. Okay. Midnight Meat Train, the ultimate story of curiosity killed the cat, follows Leon in his quest to photograph what truly makes him happy while making bank out of it. Taking advice to make his work stand out, he sets out to capture the nasty face of the city. He comes across an interesting character who seems full of secrets, shifting focus for Leon from his work to straight up stalking this random dude on the train. Ignoring advice from friends, he finds himself being promoted to the next demon servant in a story where the monsters make no fucking sense. The end.
Okay. I like it. Okay, my plot. Photography is all about capturing the truth, but sometimes the truth is better left unseen. Enter Leon Kaufman, a struggling photographer hunting for the perfect shot of the city's raw underbelly. One night, after a chance encounter with a woman on a late subway ride, he's unsettled to learn she has mysteriously vanished. As he follows the trail of her disappearance, he stumbles upon something far more sinister, a string of brutal subway murders tied to a silent, suited up, hammer-wielding slab of pure nightmare fuel known as mahogany. The deeper Leon digs, the more he realizes the real horror isn't just who is doing the killing, but why. With buckets of gore, subway-induced paranoia, and Vinnie Jones proving once again that talking is overrated, Midnight Meat Train is a bloody ride straight to hell, and trust me, you'll never look at public transportation the same way again.
Beautiful.
Midnight Meat Train.
Beautiful.
You
Good
like
job.
it? Okay, listeners, who do you think's the best? It's not a competition.
Shut up. Just take your crown and shut up.
I'll take that throne and crown.
I was trying to get creative, but we needed to go do chores today.
I know we had to go grocery shop. Hey, I made a wonderful pot roast tonight, okay?
It's delish.
It was amazing. Now, let's get into that scene for scene, y'all. Angelus, let's hit it up. What do we got?
Midnight in the Meat Train.
Oh, fucking...
Starts off in the train. Oh my gosh. The title states we see this dude in a train. He's trying to get up and he is covered in so much blood. Like, is that possible?
So he wakes up from a long night of partying. He wakes up and all of a sudden he gets up and then he slips and falls, doesn't he?
Yeah, but there's so much blood. Is that like...
Yeah, pool of blood.
I feel like there would be no blood left in a body if that much had come out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So, and then we see him, he's screaming, covered in blood, and then he goes black.
Yeah, you see in the next train in the car, there's like splatter of blood all over. And that's all we see initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we meet Mr. Cooperman, who is a photographer and lives with his lady lover. Is what I have on my notes.
Leon and
Maya. It sounds like so far his photography consists of selling pictures to newspapers.
He's a starving artist, and yes, to get by, he sells crime scene photos.
Yeah, and she's like, my friend with the weird name who has the famous people.
Yeah, he's like jerking with Jurgis.
She's like, I asked him to introduce you to his famous people, and do you know Susan Hoff?
He's
you
like,
get to meet the bitch.
Yes, I cream in my pants for her every time.
It's like, you get to meet the lady from the Blue Lagoon.
Yeah.
Ask her whatever you want, and he gets all excited.
And from the Lazy Boy commercials.
She was in those too.
Yeah.
So he gets all excited. They spend an hour of lovemaking. Apparently, that was his reward.
Oh, yeah. She's like, let's please each other.
For a whole hour.
I hated it. Like, their chemistry sucked.
It did.
She, as an actor, I just don't like her. There's something about it. It's like...
Damn.
If you're going to acting class or school, you wouldn't study her. And I'm not trying to be mean, but she just did not do it for me. She took me out of the movie.
Wow.
You can tell clear differences. Bradley Cooper was like kind of... acting circles around her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a dud.
Kind of.
For me, at least. Now, others might think otherwise, but for me, it just...
They're trying to be romantic. Anyways, the meeting takes place. He goes to this gallery with Jurgen and that crazy 2000s hair. And he meets Susan, shows her his work.
But do they go to the cafe first?
No, they go to her gallery.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, hey, man, don't talk about Maya. She likes her men. Her art is single.
And ready to mingle.
Yeah.
So she looks at his work and she's like, cool, interesting eye, man, but I want to see what happens next.
Yeah, she wants his grittiness of New York. Yes, he's seeing it. She's like, it's too melodrama where you see a homeless guy sitting there and then next to him is a businessman that looks grossed out, but or annoyed, but she wants to see the next step when that homeless guy touches that guy and she wants Leon to capture that moment.
Don't stop. And if he gets good pictures, maybe she'll put him in a gallery or introduce him to more people.
Exactly.
And he gets all excited. He gets an artist boner and he's like, you got it, babe.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I got it.
So he's dedicated. He's going to get his fucking pictures and photograph the dark of the New York City. He's in the subway. It's late at night, right? Because apparently this is when the dark things happen.
Well, he's interested in the nighttime in New York because he thinks he can truly get the grittiness and raw emotion of New York City at that time.
And he runs into a group of like thugs. They're hustling up this girl, harassing her sort of.
In the subway.
And at first you can tell he hesitates. So he approaches from far away. He's on top of the stairs.
He's clicking pictures.
Taking pictures. And there's a moment where I think he pauses and he's thinking, okay, like it's not my business. But then.
Well, no, he's like, fuck, I'm an asshole taking pictures. So he yells at him. He's like, hey.
Just stop. Yeah. And the main dude, he turns around, the lead of the gang, and comes up the stairs.
He's like, yo, what's your problem, man?
And
he's like, do you like to star in a movie? He's like, what are you talking about? And he gets closer. He's like, hey, I wouldn't. Look there's a camera right there. And the guy looks straight into it. He's like, look, you're the star of your own show. And then the dude's like, all right, let's go. And they stop harassing the girl. And then the girl comes up to him, right?
Yeah, she comes up and she's like, my hero. Essentially gives him a kiss and right in the lips.
Yep, right on the old lips.
And she turns around and goes to go get in her train. And as she's walking away, he continues to take pictures of her.
Boarding on the train. This has significance later because in one of the pictures you see the hand of Mahogany.
Yeah, so she bumps into Mahogany. She doesn't know it's him. Or Bradley doesn't know who he is.
And she's riding on the train and she's bored. She's going to pop her headphones in. She does. And then Mahogany, you see, pull out his hammer, walks up to her, and she's oblivious because she can't hear him. And then you see him just sideways hit her with the hammer and break her neck and her head turns around.
Spins. That was one thing only that took me out is all the CGI in this movie.
So I feel like this movie was going to be at 1.3D because they show like eyeballs launching and stuff.
That would have been more interesting to see.
But I don't know because like the CGI'd blood was terrible.
It was.
It's 2008, so I understand. But man, at that point, you guys should have kept...
There was also a lot of it.
Yeah, you should have kept it natural. Like, it should have just used the natural splattering. I think it would have won a lot further.
Yeah, because I didn't see...
I don't need the eyeball launching out in 2008 because the technology just wasn't there yet.
Well, and in the blood, too, you can tell it was fake. Yeah. And all of those scenes. I didn't see any...
It took me out of it, too. Good imagery, I guess, like... But for the gore effect, missed the mark.
Yeah. So now we are at the restaurant and we see that Maya works here. She's a server. And Bradley comes up to the bar, knows Maya's boss.
Otto's the cook.
Otto? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's making conversation. He orders a salad and pulls up a little container and puts it on the counter.
And the guy's like, what is this? And he's like, nah, I ain't doing this. and it's tofu.
He wants him to grill his tofu.
Yeah, and the
guy's like,
cook's like,
"We're
what the
not
hell? Not
doing this."
again. Yeah, we're not doing this again. He's like, just cook it.
Yeah, so he grills him his tofu. And then he's reading the newspaper and he flips it and he finds a picture of the girl that he just saw at the subway last night. And apparently she was a very famous model.
Yeah.
And she is missing since this morning. No one knows anything. So people are looking for her. And he pulls his girlfriend. He's like, hey, that girl that I saw that they were hustling, like, it's her right here. And she's missing. So he feels like he needs to do something because he has those pictures.
Yeah, he heads to the cop station.
So he goes to the police.
And they essentially, when he's sitting there, they're like, oh, so you took pictures of her. You know she's a model, right? He's like, are you implying that I was stalking her? I wasn't. And she's like, well, she's a pretty girl. Pretty much is dismissing him. And she's like, why'd you take these pictures? And he couldn't really ask or whatever. Or he couldn't respond.
Answer.
And she's like, well, once you can respond, come back, and here's my card.
Yeah, she's like, go home and think about it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's no, like, clearly she's important. There's a newspaper article, but the cop is not interested enough.
Which we don't know that this detective at the moment is part of the secret society, but we later see that she is tied. And when you watch it, she has a necklace that's the same as Mahogany's ring.
Star?
Yeah.
Okay.
So where does Bradley Cooper go after this?
So he goes back to the gallery.
Yeah, Brooke Shields' character.
So he goes and he shows her the pictures of the thugs in the model, and she likes these pictures.
Yeah, well, she's like, whoa. And he's like, whoa, you say whoa? She's like, no, I haven't said that since high school. These deserve a whoa.
Yeah.
She's like, give me 2 more pictures of these and you're going to be in my gallery. And I'm going to make you big time. He's like, no way. He's all over the moon about it.
Yeah, and then he meets up briefly. You see him with Maya and Jorgis, and they're celebrating that he might get a piece of the show. But he quickly leaves, and he's like, all right, guys, it's nighttime.
I gotta get to work.
I'm going to get my pictures.
Yeah.
And we see him again.
And he's like, I gotta get my shots. All right, what about these shots? And it was the, like...
Oh, the alcohol shots?
Yeah.
So we see him back, or we go back to the subway, and then we see Mahogany, and this is where there's that group of people. It's the chick with her boyfriend, Todd.
Who?
Todd.
Ted Raimi?
Okay. Ted Raimi.
And then his friend, yeah.
And then his friend.
And they're bullshitting. The wife is like, man, I don't want to be on here. I don't like this. The other guy's like, look, there's no graffiti. It's clean.
Don't be such a whiny
the
person.
Lights are on. Everything's good. Don't worry about it. And he's like, hey, when we get back to my place, we'll have her cook us food and we'll bullshit some more. And at this point, she sees Mahogany come up with his hammer and she's like yelling to Ted Raimi, the husband character, and nobody's paying attention because they're still bullshitting. And then all of a sudden, Mahogany hits him behind the head really hard. And this is where you see his eyeball explode out of his eye. And then all that CGI blood splatters the wife and then the friend, which I thought was pretty good. Like that shock. They're like, oh my God, what just happened here?
It was pretty good. I think that was one of those most like...
And he stabs the friend in the balls with his hook. That was crazy.
There's just so many things and they happen so fast and you're just not expecting eyeballs to go flying.
Right.
So it gives you that shock factor.
So now there's blood everywhere. The girl's petrified. She trips on her husband's eyeball, falls back, and Mahogany's hovering over her. And the friend tries to grab his leg. He hits the friend's face with the hammer, crushes it, and then he ends up hitting the wife so hard, her head spins and flies off her body. And at this point, I thought this was funny, but you see the view through her eyes.
Oh, yeah.
As her head flies off, and you continue to look sideways, and you see Mahogany standing there, and then it comes and pans out of her eyes, and now you see the reflection of Mahogany in her eyes, and then you just see her head and twitching. Her eyes are twitching. I thought that was hilarious. I don't know why I'm a sick fuck, but
You remember all the details.
I love it. I thought it was funny. But they do that too much where the vision of the person dying, I feel like. Like you get one where a dude's upside down, he gets his throat slit, and then all of a sudden everything turns red because the blood's going through his eyes. It's like, you're showing too much of this. Yeah.
One thing I found interesting is Mahogany, these scenes are very like bloody and gutsy and everything, and he always comes out of there just clean. You never see like a ton of blood like on his face. You would.
And how does he get this out of his suits?
I don't know. You would imagine someone would get on his shoes, his sleeves, his face, like the splatter because of how gruesome and gutsy and bloody. But
well, that's the unrealistic part of this movie.
Like, and then nobody else ever sees. I mean, I know that the train turns into like a different dimension,
it
kind
goes
of.
To hell, yeah.
So nobody sees it, but yeah, no. So then we go and see Leon. He's sitting alone at the station.
Cleans it? Who cleans the buses after this?
The other
Does
thing.
Mahogany do it?
Oh no, maybe the Mayor Cooper Society, whatever, they lick it clean.
Maybe.
And then we see Leon, he's sitting alone at the station waiting for something interesting to happen, I'm assuming. And then you see, this is where Mahogany catches his eye. He's just like ascending so majestic up the escalator.
So at this moment, is this where supernatural is happening? Like something supernatural? Because is he automatically tied to Mahogany, like being drawn in?
I don't think so.
Is this like predetermined destiny? I feel like it is, because then it turns into that. Because they lure him into the bus, like
maybe when he touches him.
You think at that moment?
Maybe, because then he starts having those weird nightmares too.
Yeah, that is when he starts starts getting the visuals, like he starts dreaming it.
Yeah, because he walks past him, so he follows him, and he's like secretly taking pictures of Mahogany.
Yeah, and Mahogany's smart. He knows.
He knows it. He feels it. He knows it's happening, so he stops. And Cooper stands right behind him, and at one point he does, like he reaches out and grabs his camera.
No, he stops, and Leon, Bradley Cooper's character, stops too. He doesn't know what to do. And then he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna try to walk right past him. And he grabs his arm. Mahogany grabs Leon. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Just weirdly, I wanted a picture of you. And the guy just stares at him and keeps staring at him, and then lets him go and walks off across the street to the Hotel Barclay where he stays.
We also see when the camera focuses, he's wearing a ring with a star.
Yeah, that's where you first
part
see
of their
that part.
society.
They really want you to watch that, see that.
Yeah. And then Leon is back at his apartment going through all the pictures. And this is where he's looking again at the pictures of the model with those thugs. And he notices, he's trying to figure out if he can find out how she went missing, right?
Yeah.
He's getting to...
Well, he's looking with a magnifying glass, looking at that picture.
He's looking at her, and then he notices a hand on the subway door, and it has that same ring.
Yeah.
Mahogany's ring. And he's like, holy shit. And then they show us a little bit of Mahogany and his life. We see him, he's in his apartment. He gets ready. Again, for his job that he has, they dress him up in a suit, tie everything, too fancy to be just a butcher. And then we notice that Leon is following him again.
Well, do we see at this point when we see him in his bathroom, is this where we see him cut off like those tumor-like skin tags?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we see Leon follow him to that meat plant, is what they call it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we see him inside. He's pushing like carcasses. I don't know. What do you call them? It's not a carcass.
Well, meat.
Meat.
Yeah, slabs of meat.
And then he leaves work, and Cooper essentially seems like he spends the whole day following him around.
Yeah.
And at one point, Mahogany is just oddly, weirdly sitting at the station for what seems like it's hours, because you see a lot of, they do like fast speed, right?
Yeah.
And you see a lot of trains.
Yeah, he
and
works
people.
all day, and then he goes and sits at the train station, and then he always hits the 2:00 or 2:15 a.m. bus or train.
Yeah. So finally, his train's there. He gets on, and Leon's about to jump on the train as well and follow him. And he gets stopped by a cop, and the cop's like, "Let me see your camera. Like, who are you? What are you doing? Don't be a fucking weirdo." And the train leaves without him. And we see Mahogany. He's sitting alone in a cart, and some passengers.
Well, it's kind of the saving grace because they can't have Leon get on the bus yet because anybody gets on the bus dies. So they couldn't put him on the bus. So that's why they had that security guard grab him and be like, "What's this camera? Is it a bomb?" He's like, "No, it's a camera."
Yeah.
So that's why they did that to him. And so it keeps the story continuing. But at that time, we had someone get on the bus.
Can't remember his name. He's the one that fights back.
Oh yeah, Rampage Jackson. He comes stumbling in like he's drunk.
Yeah, he's just making his way up.
And he's like, "Life's like a box of chocolates, huh?" And he starts laughing because the dude, Mahogany, looks like Forrest Gump.
He does. With his suitcase on his lap.
Yeah.
He just holds it so neatly.
I just kept running. Jenny.
Sorry,
I had to, guys.
Stupid. So Mahogany essentially goes up and like smacks him against the window. I mean, that's where we see him. That dude's not going down without a fight.
He stuns him, but then he pulls out a knife. And they start fighting. They're exchanging punches. And it really looks like Mahogany is going to lose this one. Like, this guy's like kicking his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a struggle, but then he gets the knife. They both kind of mess with it. So the struggle happens. And now we see the train guy. He hears the
commotion.
Yeah, the commotion. Goes back there. He grabs his gun. It shows him grab a gun. He goes back there, and then all of a sudden, boom, it shows the bullet again, crappy CGI, and it shows the bullet spiral to and through, again, another eye hole gets exploded, and you see Rampage Jackson, just his head explode.
That's when you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's in on it?
Yeah, exactly. It reveals that, okay, he's part of the inner circle now, too.
And he must be of higher position because he's like, "Mahogany, I'm disappointed in you." And I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, or they're like
boss.
a team. They're like a team.
But he doesn't get involved in, like, he doesn't help him at all, except for
everybody
case.
has their role because the cop doesn't get involved either.
That's fucked up, man. That's not really a team. There's no I in team.
Well, there is no. Everybody has a part. That's the whole thing. What the fuck?
Your frustration. They work together.
Well, it's a moving system. It's an ecosystem. You have your driver. You have your cop covering up things. You got a bunch of stuff. There's a coroner, I think. Isn't there?
I don't remember.
Oh, maybe not.
I didn't catch a corner.
Maybe not.
Anyways, yeah, he's like, dude, you're kind of getting not very good. Because he had to step in and help.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. So now we see Leon.
Well, at this point, you see Mahogany get sick, too. That's why you see him kind of vulnerable and why Rampage Jackson was able to like kick his ass. He starts coughing up blood.
Oh, when he in this fight scene, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a brief interaction of Leon and Maya. He's like, it's not a promise ring, but it's a love ring. Yada, yada, yada.
He's like, when I make a big time baby, I'm going to buy you a real ring. We're going to get married.
And this is at her restaurant, right? At the restaurant. Because then they start like having sex and he comes up as a little aggressive. I think like her facial expressions.
Is that when?
She seems a little
because he gets
confused.
obsessed, and this is where it gets weird too. Because he starts eating her ass out. I'm like, okay, and she's like, she seems to like it, I guess. And then after that, he comes up, and then he just starts like hitting her hard in the back, like
people can see your face.
It's gonna take that noise out, but he
You're
starts
the
clapping
cat.
those cheeks. He starts clapping those cheeks hard,
Fucking
and then it looks like. I hate to say it, but it looks like she's in horrible pain, and she's like, "What the fuck's he doing?"
I think she's confused and she's taken back because her face. She's like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Did he just eat my ass?
And he's just coming off as like a little aggressive.
Yeah, he's
And
like
she doesn't-
primal and shit. He's grunting.
And she doesn't seem to be into it, but she's like, okay.
She's like, just 5 more minutes, it'll be over.
She was like, but he just gave me a ring.
So she felt
Gotta put
obligated.
out.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird interaction.
Yeah.
And then where do we go next after this?
And then after this, we go to their apartment, and there's like a crazy scene. It's this fucking epic scene that you see of
Oh my
all those
God.
bodies hanging on the train with hooks, like
He's
meat
in
stuff.
bed, yeah. And then he wakes up. He's like, oh my God, he was having a nightmare of
It's-
the train, a vision of mahogany, right?
Well, some person wakes up, and it's Leon, and he was hanging, and then he wakes up again.
Oh, is this where mahogany slices the throat and you see the POV?
No, this is just Leon having a nightmare that he's in
Well,
that
I
train.
understand, but is that
Was
he a victim? I feel like that was it. It was one of those visions that he was having.
Well, maybe. I didn't write a lot of details. I just have that you see a ton of those bodies on the train, and one of the
Yeah.
carts full, and he wakes up and he's one of the bodies.
So
Or
he
he's
starts
in there.
So he starts now, like this is the supernatural part of this where he starts getting tied to this.
Yeah, and then next thing is we learn Mahogany's sick. And in my notes I wrote, it's at his apartment, and we learned that Mahogany has barnacles on his chest, and a lot of them. And he scoops him up with a knife.
Yeah, he's cutting him. Now, to me, where my mind goes is he's turning into one of these creatures we see. We don't see him yet, but when you do, this is where my mind went. I
Do
feel
those
like he's
things
turning
have
into
these
one of them. I don't know. You don't really see him a
They
whole
just
lot.
look dark and slithery.
But
like
I
a
feel like
lizard.
he's turning into that. You know what I mean? Like,
don't
why else
know.
is he growing? And do others grow like that? Is the driver like that? Is the police officer like that?
When they face out, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and he scoops him out with a knife. Not all of them, but a few of them. And then, like,
Puts
on
them in a jar. I don't
in the
understand that
bathroom
either.
mirror, he has, like, those little shelves in your bathroom mirror just full of jars of, like, liquid and then those little things that look
But
like
why?
barnacles. I don't know. Maybe he's going to make a tea
Stew?
or something.
It's weird.
Yeah, and he puts them in there. And then next scene, we go back to the apartment with Maya and Leon. And Maya wakes up in the morning to a bunch of pictures just hanging in her kitchen
Yeah.
that Bradley developed. And she even asked, she's like, are you following this guy? And he's like, no, like, I think it's a connection to the girl, remember?
Yeah.
And she's like, how about you just give the pictures over to the police and stop following him?
Yeah.
Like, just
It's
stick
not
to your
healthy.
work.
Yeah.
No. And she starts noticing, like, he's getting a little too obsessive in this
And we have
dark matter.
another weird interaction. Totally, I think, unnecessary for the movie. Where it's like, oddly, is this where she starts undressing?
No, not yet. So, this is the next scene. He's briefly in the library researching.
Yeah.
We learned that there's been killings connected to a butcher of some sort dated back to 100 years.
Yeah.
And then we skip forward to seeing Mahogany again. And this time he's going to work. And again, Leon is stalking him again.
Yeah. And Leon goes into the building and puts on a jacket and a hard hat.
Mhm.
He's really trying to see what he's doing in there. And
Yeah.
he's just on an assembly line and they're making meat cuts.
Mm-hmm. But Mahogany has that supernatural fucking
Yeah, turns around and
sixth
sees him.
sense. Yeah, sees him.
Starts following him.
And this is kind of a creepy scene because Leon, like, hides thinking he's out of sight, and then he pokes his head again, and Mahogany's, like, closer with a fucking giant butcher knife just standing there. So Leon takes off running, and they go through this room that's full of meat cuts, like giant
Yeah.
ones, and they're just chasing each other. Or Mahogany's chasing Leon in there.
Yeah. And then Leon grabs one of the hooks, hangs, and then Mahogany's looking down below to see feet. And
Perfect
he
timing.
doesn't see him. Yeah. But then he does catch up to him, right?
He catches up, and then Leon makes it out barely, and he jumps in the back of a
Yeah.
truck that was driving by.
Yeah, and Mahogany's just staring at him.
And then next we see Jurgis and Leon at the restaurant. And this is that scene where you can start seeing
Yeah.
Leon changing.
So when this movie starts to go, it just has those moments of like pacing's good, but then it has a couple spots where the pacing just is blown out of the water. Like it just comes at a screeching halt, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jurgis is eating a steak, and he's weirded out by Leon's behavior.
Well, because Leon's just staring at him.
He's staring at his plate, and he asks about the specials, and then like just shoves his fingers in Jurgis' plate.
He grabs a piece of meat, starts eating it. Jurgis is like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "What? Just one piece?"
And the cook's thrown off too.
Yeah, and he's like, "What's the specials around here?" And that's when he puts his fingers into the meat sauce on Jurgis' plate and starts
Just
licking it.
him.
And then he's like, "You know what? Just give me one of these guys, these porterhouses, the steak." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, sounds really good right now."
Yeah. So he must have been a vegetarian, vegan for a long time for both of them to be like confused by his behavior.
Well, he just had him make tofu that he didn't eat, by the way. I mean, he didn't eat his meal that day because he went to the police station.
It's a movie. They never do.
Yeah. But yeah. So he's doing that. And then what happened?
And then we go back to the apartment. And this is the scene. So we see Maya comes home and he has newspaper articles everywhere about the butcher. And he's just rambling at this point.
You see him spiraling. She's concerned.
Yeah. And he has a map on his wall of all these people that have been going missing. And they don't make any sense. And he's like, maybe Mahogany's a copycat because he's not older than 100 years.
Yeah.
And then she starts fake crying. And she's like, I'm so worried about you. You're shooting too many dark pictures and it's consuming you.
And she's like, do stuff you like. And all of a sudden she's crying, but it's like awkward. And it's like he starts crying because he's taking pictures of her crying.
And it's so hard.
And he's wiping his eyes and he's having visuals of like
dark stuff.
The subway stuff. And she takes off her top and then her bra and she's just like there crying and they're just both crying and then she just disappears and slams the door.
He looks like it pains him to take the pictures of something that makes him happy. And I don't know why she thought that her getting naked was going to automatically make him happy.
She like lets her hair down.
If he's been like deep down looking at dark, depressing shit for how many days.
But like just crying involved, they're both just bawling.
Well, he's crying because it's really hard to get a happy picture that's not Mahogany. And she's crying because she's seeing that he's like not enjoying taking pictures of her.
It's just a stupid scene. I'm like, I get the full emotions. You had me at him eating the steak.
Yeah.
And I think if you had a visual of him cutting in eating it, I think that would have been more effective than this bullshit. This is where it gets a screeching halt for me. Like it just loses me for a second. The story doesn't need that. It's just dumb.
I think she was trying to say that she used to be his happiness.
Yeah, the apple of his eye. But I don't care. Like she's another character I could have done without. I don't know. I feel like she wasn't necessary.
Oh, damn. I thought next time you were like frustrated, I was just going to let my hair down and be like, take a picture of Richard.
No.
Unrealistic, people.
Unrealistic.
Anyways, so they get pissed off. And then Leon visits Maya at the restaurant. And he's like, all right. I think he was just going to like make her kind of settle her mind because he's like, I just came to say that you're right. Or you were right, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And then, interestingly enough, in the reflection in the restaurant, we see Mahogany.
And Mahogany's taunting him. He wants Leon to see him. And Leon does. Mahogany walks off, goes to the bus. This is where now Leon gets on the bus. Or the train.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting on the other thing. He's nervous. And Mahogany starts... because these two guys, it looks like they're back from a basketball game or something, and he starts just butchering them, and Leon looks in, he's like, holy shit, and he's seeing all this.
Well, before this, there's those two kids that were selling chocolate.
Yeah, I was going to pass over. It's not really relevant.
Well, the only thing that caught my thing is Mahogany, obviously doesn't attack them, but he gives them money. So is there a little bit of humanity in him?
No, not at all.
Playing a part?
Not at all. He just doesn't want confrontation because he's got to kill. He doesn't care about anything else. He just wants to lay low. but he kills the 2 guys and they explode. You don't really see it, but you see blood splatter everywhere. But now this is where we see him do his work. So he kills them, and this is very hard to watch. I couldn't really watch it every time.
I watched part of it.
I can't do it.
It was really effective.
Like when he puts the gear in the mouth to keep it open. When he's pulling those teeth, that's cringe, dude. And then all of a sudden the nails, he's removing everything hard on the body, and then he starts cutting the hair and everything. But the nails got me. He's pulling them off. I'm like, what the fuck? This is fucked up.
Vienna was like, you tolerated the eyes being pulled?
That
or
was
the
another
teeth.
thing.
No, the teeth pulled out. She said you tolerated the teeth, but you couldn't watch the fingernails. I was like, there's something about fingernails.
All of it. But the eyes weren't bad for me, but he does pop them out. And why does he eat the eye? Is that ritual?
Did he eat it?
Yeah, he popped it in his mouth.
Ew, gross.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just saw him
That's what makes me think he's turning into one of those things.
He fucking puts them in plastic containers like he's getting takeout to his fucking relatives or something. He puts their shoes in plastic bags.
Yeah. Well, he's got to dispose of all of this.
Yeah, he takes them apart. He preps these bodies for the zombie monster
and
things.
The creatures, and we see him put them on hooks. The hooks through the ankles, and then he hangs them.
He also cuts their hair with like an old school shaver.
Everything off that's not edible for these creatures.
You think he shaves their pubes and their armpit
hair? Yeah, everything.
Hair?
It's like a piece of meat. He's like getting it ready.
Gross.
Which is gnarly, huh?
Yeah.
But then he hangs them, and then this is where Bradley's like, what the hell? And Mahogany sees him and smiles.
Oh, yeah. He's like, did you get all of that?
Yeah, and then he starts walking, and Leon tries to get away, gets all the way up to the front, starts beating on the door where the driver is, and the driver's not listening, and then Mahogany grabs him and knocks him out. And now Leon wakes up later, and he's dangling there.
Oh, yeah.
But he still has his clothes. No, he has his pants and stuff on, but his shirt's off. And he's dangling there. Mahogany's looking over, and then he can't watch anymore, and he walks away. And this is our first brief scene where we see these creatures. And they start tearing into him.
Claw his chest.
And they leave a symbol on his chest. And then does he pass out or something?
And then that's
he wakes
all
up
you
later.
see. Yeah, and then he wakes up, he's fully dressed, and he's at an abandoned station.
Yeah.
So he follows it, and it's like right below the meat plant.
Yeah. And he goes out and into the meat plant. He's like, what the hell? And are all the workers part of this? Because they look at him and they're like, oh, okay. You're one of those. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the vibe I got. They didn't even care.
Yeah, and then he makes it back home. He gets there, and it sounds like he's been missing for a couple days because Maya seems concerned. She's like, where have you been? Yada, yada, yada. And he doesn't say anything.
He doesn't have his keys or anything.
Locks himself in the bathroom. And you see blood on his forehead. He takes off his hoodie, and it's there. Like, the scratches are still there at this point.
Yeah.
And she's crying because he's not letting her in there. And she was so worried about him.
She's like, I'm going to call 911.
And then they go back and forth. She really wants to take him to the doctor, and he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And
he's like, sleep. I need sleep.
Yeah. And she's like...
He's like, I figured out how he does it. He kills them on the subway.
Yeah, and she's like, all right, we'll take you to the doctor, and I'll call the police in the meantime, and we'll get it all sorted out.
He's like, no, they don't care, and one, I don't even have my camera. He took it.
Yeah, and he tells her, so the meat's unloaded somewhere, and tells her that there's an abandoned station, and he doesn't want to go. He says that he's just going to get blamed for the missing model, and his gallery is supposed to open tonight, so he's just going to get rest and continue with his day like nothing.
Yeah.
So,
he's like, my show's tonight.
Maya convinces Jurgis to go with her to the meat plant and try to get his camera back.
No, to go to the hotel.
To go get the camera and then try to go talk to the police so they can have some sort of proof.
Yeah. Which, in this hotel, Mahogany leaves, right? How the hell do they know where his room is? Because they don't have his name. And they don't see him leave. They're just chilling in the hallway. Somehow they picked the right hallway, and they knew exactly where the room was. They don't show any of that.
That's magic.
They just show him kind of walking up. Luck. It's all luck right there. Like, they weren't stalking him. How did they know he was in there? Like, None of this made sense, by the way.
Because Leon didn't even know that. He
Exactly.
just knew where he worked, and that's it.
None of it made sense whatsoever. It was just to move the story along, but it was terrible editing for this movie. Like, it made no sense.
Anyway, yeah. So
So watch it, please, folks.
Jurgis
It's on Tubi.
will stay out on the hallway and keep watch while Maya goes inside and looks for the camera.
And she's like, yell at me if he comes.
And she's opening all these drawers, and she's just finding like operating tools,
Butcher
saws,
tools, yeah.
pliers. And Jurgis is like, no, two of us is gonna make it go a lot faster. So he gets inside the apartment or the room and starts
he's like,
helping her look.
I'm gonna go to the bedroom, and she goes to the bathroom. She sees the jars, opens the jar, and is like, "Oh, disgusting!" and drops it in the sink.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jurgis is in the room. He's looking in the closet. He's moving. All of a sudden, he finds the camera. But by this time, we see Mahogany come in, sets his bag down. And now, when Jurgis is in the closet, he finds the camera. All of a sudden, Mahogany's behind him, and Jurgis gets the sense someone is. And then we don't see it, but he gets hit over the head with a hammer.
Well, this is happening. Maya goes back out to the living room and notices the bag is there.
And starts going through it.
And she finds like a printed train schedule, and it has time circle, and she puts
Over
it in
the
her
years,
pocket. Yeah.
It's all a bunch of different train schedules.
So she is looking
Dating way back.
She's looking for Jurgis and walks into the bedroom and notices Mahogany. Well, we're assuming, I don't know if she realizes it is Mahogany, but she sees someone in the bedroom or in the closet, and she runs out and leaves her friend there.
Runs straight to the police department. She doesn't have the camera.
And one thing we see briefly here is Leon, he's taking a bath, and the water is just full of blood. It's a bloody water.
Yeah.
And you can see the
wound.
scratches that those creatures left are like absorbing into his body almost, or disappearing.
Yeah.
So he's becoming.
Yeah, it's taken over.
Yeah. So Maya meets with the police lady, the detective.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady's like, look, essentially you broke into his place. He's not pressing charges. He just wants his property back. And she's like, you don't understand. This is dating deaths, like, way back. And the lady's like, dude, you're in the wrong. Just give him his stuff back.
Yeah, he wants his stuff back. And she's like, what about my friend? She's like, well, I'm going to need the stuff. She's like, no, my friend has it. You better find him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, look, I can't help you. I don't know what you're talking about. So then the lady leaves. She goes to work, right?
Yeah.
And later she leaves and goes into the alleyway, right?
Yeah, but we see Leon, he does make it to his gallery.
Yeah, he's not into it at all.
So not there anymore. People are trying to ask him questions. He's not even dressed up.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Susan was like, come on, like, engage with the people that are here. She's like, people want to buy pictures. And he just turns around and walks away.
Yeah. He's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, he has a train to catch.
Yeah. And by this time, she starts leaving. Maya starts leaving, goes out the back, the alleyway, and the cop is there.
Yeah.
Confronting her, and then Maya had a gun.
And again, the lady, the police, the detective, she wants the train book back. That's all she wants.
Yeah. But Maya points a gun in her head, and she's like, tell me where he's at. And she's like, okay, finally breaks down, and the lady's like, whatever, you're gonna die anyways.
And
catch the train, the 215 train.
Yeah,
14, station 14, 215 train.
Yeah, and she also makes a comment. She's like, you really don't understand what's going on, do you?
Yeah.
She's like, fine, suit yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
So Maya does go.
And heads to it and gets on the train.
At 2 a.m. At the same time, we see Leon. He's at the meat plant, it looks like. And he's like dressing up in this like metal looking apron. Like what you see back in
he's like
when you go into war.
Yeah, he's suiting up. He's got the Kevlar stuff. I mean, he's putting a bunch of blades onto his body, weapons, essentially. And then he goes back down into the abandoned subway area.
Yeah, and at this point, it was Maya and one other person, and the only other person gets off the train, so it's just her alone in there.
Yeah. And it starts cruising. She starts going through the train. And then this is where Bradley Cooper or Leon is seeing the train pass by. And then he sees Maya walking through. He's like, no. And then somehow he's running super fast, super fast, super fast. All of a sudden he jumps on the speeding bullet train.
I was like, how did you catch that?
It was ridiculous.
And she makes it to where she finds that one cart that's full of all the bodies that are prepped, clean, hanging up, ready to go.
Yeah, and she's mortified.
Okay, you said that the butcher preps his bodies, cleans them, shaves them. Jurgis is still there. He's alive with his long ass hair.
So again, they have their cake and eat it too. They, instead of doing that, they keep him alive for dramatic effect about what's about to happen here.
They should have at least shaved his head.
That's what I'm saying. It was just, they didn't go all the way with it, and it just didn't make sense. There's parts of this movie that it could have been better.
Like, if you're doing it to get the attention of Jurgis is friends with them, at least partially prep him, tear off his nails, I don't know, his teeth.
Well, have consistency here. Like, cut his hair. And then, because you're not going to take his eyeballs out and do all the things, at least cut the hair. But I digress on that. But Maya sees him, and she's like, Jurgis, oh my God. And then Mahogany comes through.
Yeah, and she tries lowering him too, but I don't know what the fuck she does, but it just makes it to where he's like feet are bleeding.
Yeah. It's the old Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, when the dude's hanging there with his one leg on the hook, and then Jessica Biel's character tries to lift him up, and he can't, so she has to kill him. It's essentially like that.
Yeah, so Mahogany walks in, he has another body, and he looks pissed. And she tries shooting at him with the gun that she has, and she has terrible shot and misses everything. And he fucking throws that mallet that he carries around right at her and hits her, so she falls down. And right as Mahogany's about to kill her, Leon shows up.
Yeah, he's like, no!
Yeah.
And then they start fighting, and they're brawling, right? They're going through it. Mahogany slams him through one of the glass windows. The door opens up. They're fighting. At this point, the blade, this is where I knew Jurgis had it in, and this is why he was hanging there. He accidentally gets stabbed, and then Mahogany just rips him open, and you just see blood gushing out. And then Maya's like, no! Jurgis! And then he dies. Mm-hmm. And then at this point, Mahogany and Leon are fighting again. And then all of a sudden, Leon got the upper hand and kicks him out of the subway. Mm-hmm. The train kicks him. You think he's long gone and he's dead.
Yeah. ...
But then Leon grabs Maya, like, oh my God, we gotta get out of here. So now the train finally stops. Mm-hmm. And they're at where the creatures are, and it's quiet. And then the driver comes out. He's like, you need to step away from the meat.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And they still don't. But all of a sudden they see the creatures coming on. And they're like, we need to get the hell out of here. So they do, and they go into this pile where there's a bunch of bones, and it's an abandoned city hall station is what it was called. You see the floor? Mm-hmm. But there's a bunch of piles of bones. How the hell has nobody ever seen this?
Right.
But as they're out there,
they see Mahogany.
Yeah, Mahogany shows up, and he's all scratched up and fucked up. But he'd be way more fucked up if he flew out of a subway that was speeding. And then we start to have round 2 where Leon and him start battling again, right? Mm-hmm. Long story short, they battle, and then Leon gets a sharp bone, and shoves it through his neck. And now, at this point, Mahogany starts talking. He's like, welcome.
He mumbles, and then,
Yeah, welcome. And then he Leon shoves the knife through his head. And that's the end of Mahogany. Mm-hmm. And now the driver comes out. He's like, I am so jealous of you.
Like, it was a privilege. And now you need to do what needs to be done. He's like, I envy you.
Yeah. So then he grabs him, and you start to see it ritualistic. He grabs him and pulls Leon's tongue out. And then the weird part happened.
And you're like, no wonder Mahogany never talked. He had no fucking
tongue. And then the driver eats the tongue, right?
Yeah.
Again, makes me think he's going to turn into one of these things eventually.
Maybe they all just eat each other.
But he eats that, and then he walks over to Maya that's on the pile of bones knocked out. He takes the knife, shoves it in her chest, opens it up. He's like, join us. And he grabs the heart, and it's like pounding. It's like boom, 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 boom. And it's out of her chest. And then he gives it to Bradley. You don't see it, but he's supposed to eat it. And his tongue, you see his tongue just ripped out in his mouth. He's like, oh.
Well, he also gives him a little speech. The conductor, he says that they've been there way before Leon was even born or any other human.
Longer.
Only a few have ever found them. They protect and serve to keep the order preserved. They need to keep the world separate. He's like, and you will learn. Yeah, and then he gives them the heart. And he's like, now you serve as we all do without a motherfucking question. Biage.
And then, now we see it pans to the house and like a hotel or a bathroom, and you see it getting ready. You don't see Leon's face yet, but then the news is on. Yeah, you see the suit. The news is on talking, and then it pans out, and it's the detective sitting in the chair. Detective gives him the book of train schedules, and then he pretty much goes to work. What's hanging on the wall still is Maya and him, a picture of the couple, him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he walks out, and he's back on the train, full circle. The guy we seen in the intro scene is sleeping on the bench, and you see a couple there, and then all of a sudden Leon's walking to the door. He stops. And then all of a sudden he does the mahogany look. He turns around sharp and he stares at you.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that is the end of the movie. Now that we talked about it at length, we're not giving it much room to breathe, but how'd you feel about it? Has your thoughts or opinions changed?
I guess slightly. It's not as boring as I thought it was.
Exactly. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, there's some parts that were dog shit, some parts that didn't add up, and the consistencies weren't there. But for the most part, this movie's pretty good. What would you rank it?
Oh, I forgot we do rankings. It's been so long.
Yeah. Out of 5.
Out of 5. La-di-da-di-da. Maybe like a 2.5.
2.5? Yeah, I give it a 2.8.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. You give it a 2.5, I give it a 2.8. What was your favorite kill?
Mother Cracker. Bum, bum, bum. Maybe Mahogany. It was a pretty epic.
Yeah, Mahogany's was good. I liked the wife getting her head knocked off. That was pretty cool. That would probably be my favorite. Second would be Rampage Jackson getting shot through the head. And then Mahogany. Cool. Should we take a quick break then?
Sure.
And then we will have Vienna's Review Corner.
Let's do it.
All right. We'll be right back.
She watches, sometimes she won't. Sometimes she's hype, but most times she's mad. Take it away, him, Vienna.
Hello, Vienna.
Hi.
See, this is why you need to be in the driver's seat. Welcome to Vienna's Review Corner. How you been, child?
Good, I guess.
Good, you guessed. Midnight Meat Train. You watched this movie?
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about it?
I didn't think it was that interesting.
No?
Maybe I'll have to watch it again.
What part lost you? Or parts?
It was the whole thing. It was just very long and I don't know, it wasn't super entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. How did you feel about all the CGI?
It looked funny. The eyeball popping out.
pretty. Yeah, yeah. It's a little old now.
Outdated.
Mm-hmm. So it's boring. So you don't feel. What would you rate it if you had to rate it?
2.
A 2?
Yeah.
That's kind of in line. Richard gave it a 2.8. I said 2.5.
I thought Richard liked this movie.
He still likes it. It's just a 2.8. Like, how did the watchers feel about this movie?
People didn't really like it.
Okay.
From what I got. Like, all the reviews I saw were like, out of 5 stars, it was like 3 stars and under.
3 stars and under?
Yeah.
Okay. What are some that stood out?
Someone said, the true horror here is just how annoying a white dude from New York with a camera can be. Someone else said, the visual implement... Oh my gosh, I can't talk ever. Implement... Huh?
Where you got your facts.
I said 3 and under. I don't remember where I was. Okay. Someone else said, despite some dated-looking CGI, this is one hell of a gruesome flick. Definitely style over substance, but no matter, I had a really good time with it. Yeah, I don't know.
They liked it.
I guess
Despite the CB, you can get past the CGI.
Mm-hmm. Someone else said, I was hoping for something edgy and interesting, but all they were serving was standard gore porn. Where was the tension or some actual terror? Virtually every jump scare was predictable.
I didn't find any jump scares on this.
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
Someone else said the eye scene is just gross. Not because it is macabre of a scene, but because of the special effects that are just not it. Considering the year it was released, I think that it seems pretty understandable. But honey, they could do so much better with those hanging human corpses. They are the same size. It ruined the fantasy. It was predictable and downright disappointing.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Mm-hmm. And like now going back, I'm like thinking about
You're gonna
it.
go back and look at this scene and be like,
yeah, I
oh.
remember they were all like the same like height. They looked like identical.
It was just asymmetrical bodies.
Yeah.
An asymmetrical scene.
Someone else said, the heavy use of CGI blood and a plot that concludes in a very predictable way. I guess you can have fun with a few action scenes in it, but that wasn't thing I was personally excited for.
Okay, fair enough.
Someone else said, The Midnight Meat Train is a slickly assembled, sickly violent horror film that lacks the narrative heft needed to make it more than mediocre. Watchable and capable, chilling, that misses the mythology necessary to make it stick.
Okay.
Someone else said, it was good from the start, but nothing could have prepared me for those last 20 minutes. Sure, the CGI gore feels... Sorry.
You're being attacked?
Yeah, feels a little bit dated, but it was gorgeous anyway. Super stylish and phenomenal in the execution of its slasher element. Don't know how I missed this one before. Bradley Cooper leading a 2000s horror thriller. Oh my gosh. Feels like it was made for me. Brutal as hell and so exhilarating.
Wow. There's a... Did they give it... What rating did they give it?
4 stars?
Damn, Gina.
Someone said, mid-2000s horror trash, which is one of my favorite types in films. It's a really fun, shockingly gore fest with some good gothic horror undertones. And the incredibly pessimistic ending is very good. It gives you some monsters in the last 10 minutes. The director makes it a joy to watch. He gives a very stylish touch, especially during the gore scenes, when it easily could have been more forgettable under a lesser director.
Okay. So kind of middle of the road. Some people really hated it. Some people really enjoyed the story. Okay.
There's no in between. There's one.
That's what I saw too.
So people were either really hated it or really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Is what Richard is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. How was your break from recording?
It was okay.
Okay. Did you do anything fun?
No.
With your extra free time?
No.
Homework. Grades are up.
Homework?
Grades are up. Proud of you.
No, they went back down because of the trip.
How was Deftones?
Good, I guess.
You guess? It wasn't.
I don't have one.
Okay. Anything else to share with the pod today, Camille's?
No.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for looking at reviews and your input on the movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm back.
Are you good?
Yeah, it was riveting shit. This cat's crazy. Yeah. For I was like her, I seen either the ratings, it got a 3.2 overall, but the comments that I seen was either for 1 stars or 5 stars. There's no in the middle. And the knock on it that I kept seeing was predictability. It's too predictable and cheesy CGI. That's kind of been its demise from what I've seen. But the people that gave it 5 stars was because of humor, and they couldn't laugh. They kept laughing nonstop at the CGI and gore.
Oh, the CGI made it
Yeah.
memorable for them.
Yeah, and fun.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, when eyeballs flew.
Jeez, she doesn't have a favorite Deftones song? What's going on with that? Just kidding.
I don't know. Critic ratings. IMDb has a 6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 70%.
Mm-hmm.
And the Google users, the average is 67%.
So it's actually liked. This has got relatively good scores. Where would you rank this with Friday the 13th Part 7 New Blood?
Part 7 New Blood.
Would you rank this above that?
Lordy Lord. I feel like it has the potential, again, like I said, for a good story of the monsters, the secret society.
Yeah, okay.
But that's appealing to my psychological shit.
Okay.
And Part 7, I think this is better than Part 7.
Friday the 13th Part 7 New Blood, you don't like it?
No, when she picks up the TV.
Telekinesis.
Telekinesis.
Well, okay. What movie are we covering next? This next week is my pick.
The Lodge 2019. If you guys want to catch it, it is currently streaming on Hulu.
Hulu and Netflix, I think.
And Netflix. I saw Hulu pop up.
Hulu and Netflix. Yeah, check it out. The Lodge 2019. Well, with that, do we have anything else?
I think that's it.
Well, thanks for hanging in there. If you're listening to us, Germany, we love you. Down there. Where else do we got? Where else? The UK. We love you guys out there. Shout out.
France.
Heck yeah, we love you guys. And then obviously,
Our backyard.
for some reason, the Bible Belt of the United States loves us. So hey, keep on listening. Keep on trucking,
Love you
suckers.
guys. Mother.
All right. Well, until then, hasta luego. See. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Horror Cinema Obsession. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If so, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And join us next time for another episode of Horror Cinema Obsession.